But good things. Sound system's great. I love the handling on it. It's a small car, and it doesn't... Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we'll be reviewing a 2022 Honda Civic Touring. As always though, before we get into the video, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. And with that being said, let's get right into the review. So under the hood we have a turbocharged 1.5 liter 4-cylinder that goes through a CVT automatic transmission. Power outputs are 180 horsepower and then 177 pound-feet of torque. Fuel economy is 31 around town and then 38 on the highway. However, I've been able to average 40 miles per gallon somehow. Now let's go to the front end of the Civic Touring, which I really like because it's very minimalist with the design. So first off, you guys can see we've got these kind of like softer lines here on the hood, and then the rest of the hood just flat basically. And then coming down to the lights, we've got these really distinct daytime running lights with the LED headlamps, and you can see that kind of goes straight into the grille with the Honda logo. And then we have LED fog lamps as well. And then you can see here with the bottom portion of the grille, again, there's not a massive amount happening here with the front end of the Civic, especially compared to the last generation, and yeah, I think they nailed it. Now, coming around the side here, we've got two 35mm tires wrapped around 18-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. And you can see from a design perspective with the wheels, you've got like that main 5-spoke there on the outside with the silver, and then you can see we've got more spokes that are finished in kind of like a dark metallic gray. Definitely looks cool if you ask me. Notice here with the molding there for the fender, then you can see that distinct body line there at the top. And then we've got the two-tone design in the mirrors with the black on the bottom, and then notice the chrome trim here around the window. This one has a sunroof, and I gotta somehow get a side shot here without stepping into a bush every single time. Anyways, there's your full side profile. Now here's our key fob. We have our lock function, our unlock function, remote start, and then the opening here for the trunk, and then notice here with the Honda logo. Definitely a nice upscale looking key fob. Now when you press the trunk function, it opens up all the way, which is really cool. And then notice here with the seats, how you've got that to throw the seats down, and then you can see here with the spare tire underneath. And overall, storage space is actually really solid here in the rear of the Civic. This isn't a massive sedan, but it's pretty practical overall. And then when you're done, you just gotta pop that down. Now finishing things up with the rest of the rear, you guys can see how the back end kind of just like pops up a little bit there. And then notice here with the taillight design, and of course got all of our regular badges finished in chrome. Of course we got our Touring badge to flex and everyone that we got the higher end package. Parking sensors here on the rear, and notice how we don't have like a super prominent like exhaust tip situation. You can kind of see them here at the very bottom right there. The camera will focus on it. There we go. But they kind of hide it to make it so the design just looks a little bit more uniform. Now here is the door panel in the rear. I really like this piece of black trim, and then you've got the door handles, which again I like how they kind of look and feel. Nice padding and stitching down below, and that's pretty interesting in terms of the design there. And then here are these seats. So you guys can see there, perforated down the center portion. And look at the stitching here on the side. And then if I pop in, yes, we are wearing sandals today, people. Room's great. You got the USBs down below. We got our storage pocket right there. And we have our cup holder armrest situation. Yeah, overall, definitely a nice back seat area. Let's head to the front. Now here's the front door panel. You guys can see again with the black trim, and then again look at the door handle right there, and then with the padding down below. And then all the trim here around the window controls. Front two are automatic, which is really nice. And then the mirrors do have blind spot monitoring. And then here is the front seat. You guys can see here with the stitching down below, and then notice perforated all down the center portion. Then you got your adjustments here on the side. Pedal layout down below, which is pretty normal. And then you've got the controls for the stability control right there, parking sensors, and then for some of the safety tech. And then notice there with the steering wheel how that is manually adjustable. And then look at the vent, how that looks. Let's pop in. Here is the steering wheel. You've got really nice padding all around, and then you can see the contrast stitching there on the center portion. This does have adaptive cruise control with steering assistance. If you guys want to see kind of more of my impressions on this, go follow the second channel, The Ben Hardy Show, because I already posted a video showing how this performs on the interstate. That's another reason why you should follow the second channel, post different types of content there. Anyways, paddle shifters here on the back, and then notice with our volume controls, voice command controls, and then these little dials right here, control stuff in the center screen. We'll go over that in a minute. And then notice we've got our turn signal light stock, windshield wiper stock, and there you go. Now we've got this digital gauge cluster, which is really cool. Notice how I can scroll through different menus there, again with those little dials. And you guys can see here, well, it's dropped down now because I'm idling for quite some time to film this video, but I've been averaging like 40 miles per gallon with my driving in the Civic, which is super impressive. And notice how little Civic right there shows what I'm doing with the brake lights. I don't know, I think that's pretty cool. Now here's the infotainment system. First off, if we pop it in reverse, we do have a backup camera with trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel, and then you can see the other viewpoints here with the camera system. I've actually never pressed these buttons before. What does this do? Oh, interesting. Huh. Anyways, yeah, pretty solid camera system. And then as for the rest of the screen, you've got these shortcut buttons here on the side, so you can go into the different screens. So for example, I can go into the trip computer if I want for some reason. And yeah, overall, I mean, response time of the screen's great. My only complaint is they've got this for the volume, but they don't have like a little tuner dial, if that makes sense. I'd prefer like a dial rather than having to use buttons to change radio stations. That's just personal preference though. And there you go. I love this on the Civics. You've got like this whole vent section with the little handles on them, and I love how it continues all the way across. It looks cool from a design perspective. Dual zone climate controls, heated seats for the front, and then notice here at the USBs and the 12 volt, and we have our wireless phone charging pad. You can see the shifter for the CVT right here. And then notice we've got a drive mode select. Those will pop up here. So I'm in econ mode right now, and then you got normal and sport. I've honestly been driving this in econ mode the whole time. I know, lame, right? And then you got your auto stop, start, parking brake, brake hold, couple cup holders. And then we have our center console set up there. And glove box, pretty spacious. Nothing too crazy happening with that. And finishing things up here at the very top, you guys can see here with the sunroof. You got a sunglass holder and then control for the sunroof, and there you go. So here's a window sticker for the Touring. Feel free to freeze frame if you want to read all of the standard equipment. And pretty much everything is standard here with this, other than like the color basically. Anyways, after all charges, $29,690 is the total MSRP on this. Now there are some other packages on the Civic. You guys know I've reviewed most of them, but you guys can see that Honda was cool enough to give this little pricing sheet here on the Civic. Now here's what I'd have to say. If you just want a Civic, you know, good fuel economy, all that kind of stuff, then LX is going to be the one to go for. You guys can see it gets solid fuel economy there with the LX, and obviously it's the least expensive. But if you want something that you're probably going to want to keep for a little bit longer, then I would go for actually the EX over the Touring. So you guys can see the price difference between them. And the EX gives you the upgraded turbocharged engine. And on top of that, I feel like it's a nice enough interior. Like, this is really nice, don't get me wrong. But I think the EX is nice enough, so that's like the happy medium. So I'd either go LX or EX, basically. Sport and Touring, you know, obviously there's demographics that are going to want those two, but that's just my recommendation. Anyways, let's drive it. Talk about visibility before you set off. Here's your visibility of the hood. Both mirrors just do have blind spot monitoring, and then throughout the rest of the rear. And let's set off. So, setting off here in the Honda Civic Touring. And I have been touring with the Touring. I had to make the joke. But anyways, this is actually a really nice, comfortable car to drive around on a daily basis. I frankly have been shocked at how nice the Civic is, because it's not like, you know, as cheap as what it used to be, but it's still pretty inexpensive in terms of a brand new car. I mean, this being under $30,000 brand new is like, what, $15,000 less expensive than the average brand new car in today's market, which is $45,000. It's just crazy to think about. But things that the Civic is, we'll go over good at and bad at as we're kind of going through this drive. So first off, seat comfort's really good over relatively long distances, but super long distances, this doesn't have any lumbar support, and so the seats can, like, they're not uncomfortable, but like, I wish that this had lumbar. That's just, you know, something that I think that it should have. It doesn't have air conditioned seats either. I think that that's something that the Touring package should have. I would be, that's so bright, by the way, sunlight reflecting off that. I would be okay with paying an extra few $100. Maybe Civic buyers wouldn't be, but I would be okay with paying an extra few $100 to have heated and cooled seats in this. because it's like almost 100 degrees, and so that would be nice to not have my back getting all sweaty every single time I get in this, because it's got a black interior, right? And these seats can get pretty hot. Aside from that, wireless phone charging pad's kind of weird too. It's another thing with the car. But good things. Sound system's great. I love the handling on it. It's a small car, and it doesn't torque steer, and it doesn't do too much wheel hop most of the time. There's a little bit sometimes because it's pretty powerful, but this gets up and moves. And actually I like the handling dynamics on it. Now this isn't quite on the same level as like the Mazda 3, for example, if you're looking at like pure handling dynamics, but this still handles really well, and it's so comfortable. Like, you can tell that they've definitely dialed things up on the luxury side of things with the new Civic. This almost feels like the same level of luxury you get with larger size sedans, like the Accord or like the Toyota Camry, for example, as well. And those achieve that because they're so big, right? Longer wheelbase is gonna have a smoother ride quality, whereas this being smaller still like feels really good. I love the fuel economy on it. You guys can see it says 39.6, but like I said earlier in the review, I've been able to average around 40 miles per gallon with most driving, which is just, I don't understand it, but it's awesome. I think that is just really cool, especially when gas prices are as high as they are in today's world. It's cool that it has the drive modes. Like I said, I just drive in econ mode, frankly. Like, yeah, it's got a sport mode, yeah, it's got a normal mode, but I mean, when I get in this car, I don't really have the feel to like drive it aggressively. Like, I just get in this car and just want to go to wherever I'm going, which I don't know, maybe that's a bad thing to some people, but like, I like it because it's like, I just know it's gonna get me there, and it's comfortable while I'm going there, and I'm also not gonna look at my gas gauge just like drop a massive amount getting to my destination too, which is definitely a nice thing when gas is so expensive. And so overall, the new Civic, I think, looks a lot better than the previous generation. It's not as busy from a stylistic perspective, which I prefer. Everyone said that this is grown up, or this looks like a baby Accord, whatever you want to say, but it looks better on the outside. The interior is way better. This feels like a much more premium car. Like, all the controls and everything feel really nice, like the stuff you're going to touch all the time. I think they've done a really good job with the, what you say, the tactileness of the interior here with the new Civic. And it's just it's a great A to B car. And, you know, Honda's kind of targeting, you know, younger millennials and then, you know, Gen Z with this car. And I think it's perfect. This would be seriously like a great first time car, because it, like, especially this turbo, right? This would be a fun car to have as like a first car, you know, in your early to mid to late 20s, and, you know, gets good fuel economy, and it's something that, you know, someone in that age range with how much they're making could pay off, right? They make enough money they'd actually be able to pay this car off. And so, yeah, I'm all about it. And so, yeah, I think the Honda Civic's I think it's a great car. And for the, you know, for the demographics that Honda is targeting with this, it makes complete sense. I'm obviously in that age group. And, you know, I guess that, like, I can say that, like, I like this, you know, in that, like, it makes sense. Like, this is pretty much like the type of car that I would be driving around. So let me know what you guys think about the new Civic. That's gonna sum things up for our video on this 2022 Honda Civic. And with that being said, I'll see all of you in the next video.